Well, Hans, did Tsipras actually win anything at all from Merkel?
Good morning. Well, he got that military honor roll. He got goodwill. And Mr. Tsipras has a better relationship with Madam Merkel, which in some ways was the point of the talks. But both sides were very clear that they weren't really going to do a whole lot in terms of directly addressing the crisis. Mr. Tsipras said that he wasn't in Berlin to beg, quote, beg for money. Both sides really at that press conference tripping over each other, trying to make nice. And Mr. Tsipras said that both sides, in the popular press as well, should avoid stereotyping.
Neither are the Greeks lazy, nor are the Germans responsible for the maladies and drawbacks in Greece, as I said earlier. And we have to work hard to break these terrible stereotypes on both sides.
Mr. Tsipras also said that, look, in terms of the liquidity crisis, that they weren't going to have anything concrete there. He also said all of Greece's problems aren't external, that they are themselves to blame. Now, Mrs. Merkel, she said she couldn't solve those liquidity issues. That's for all 19 members, or 18 if you exclude Greece, of the Eurogroup. And guys, if there was any tension there, it was over this issue of World War II reparations. Mr. Tsipras raised it. He said it was a moral issue, an ethical issue. Mrs. Merkel said that it was really a case closed from their perspective. And both sides really tried to separate the reparations issue from the debt talks. And Mrs. Merkel suggested the possibility of a separate, almost humanitarian fund for Greece. No idea on how, or no indication of how big that will be. Overall, a lot on style, a lot of niceties, but very little on substance and what the Eurozone is going to do to help Greece prevent a liquidity crisis as early as next week. Guys?
And Hans, I mean, talking of tensions, Mario Draghi weighed in on Greece's liquidity problems from Brussels, and many accusing the ECB of blackmailing. I mean, is he a sympathetic central banker right now?
No. Mario Draghi is a frustrated central banker. This came out in testimony in front of the European Parliament yesterday. He was asked this very question, are you blackmailing Greece? And here was his response.
First of all, are we blackmailing Greece? Well, it's a bit rich when you look at the exposure that we have with Greece. ECB has 104 billion of exposure to Greece. This is equal to 65% of Greek GDP, and it's the highest exposure in the Eurozone. So what sort of blackmail is this? It's up to you to judge.
Caroline, you take these comments from Draghi yesterday, and then you add them to what he was saying behind closed doors late Thursday night, expressing frustration with the Greeks that they weren't giving their technocrats access to all the relevant ministries in Athens. It seems like the ECB is not in a forgiving mood, not in a negotiating move, and that's important when we look at ELA, which will be reconsidered this week, emergency liquidity assistance, whether or not to raise that ceiling. The ECB has as much say about liquidity in some ways as the Eurogroup. Guys?